This is always going to start a couple of minutes late, like any one of our Christmas parties that we've ever run over the years. Hello, good evening. Let me turn off the snow. It's just, I'm not feeling it right now. There's going to be enough visually going on in tonight's program. I'm going to be honest with you, because I've seen what all of our guests are wearing tonight, and nobody. I'll be honest with you. I was wearing, this is a nice kind of crushed velvety jacket thing, and I was wearing like a blue t-shirt, and I felt great. Every last one of our guests tonight is done up like a Christmas tree. And I literally have had to find the only thing around here that's Christmassy and wear it like a cravat. And already it's very warm. This was a poor idea because it's made of plastic. Hang on, I'm gonna just, that's all you're getting from me tonight. It's close enough, right? It's good enough. Good evening. Welcome to the reason that I've done this, the whole festival. And if you're watching for the very first time, how are you? You are immensely welcome. This is, I think, the 60th of these events that I've done this year. It's about 57 episodes of Shelf Analysis and 3, 4, whatever, throughout the course of the inaugural online Ricochet Book Club Festival, which has been running all week. You can check back on the YouTube channel, find out the events, the poetry event, the Books of 2020 event, the quiz from last night that fell to pieces in the middle and we lost all signal and then had to do the second bit. It all worked out well in the end. It was fine. Tonight is the party because I think ostensibly for the last 3 years, 4 years, I think 4 years, maybe longer, we've been having a physical, real-world meetup event Christmas party for what is an online book club the other 364 days of the year. We've done it every year. We did it last year in Easton's in Dublin in the basement. There were about 150, 160 people showed up last year. It was amazing. We have friends come in and read stuff. People get to meet authors. It drags on late into the night in a hostelry of our choice. None of that was going to happen in 2020. So as a result, I thought the least I could do would be create something virtual, which of course I turned into a festival because this is me and because why have one live event where 4 will do? Our guests tonight, I've realized, of course, that I booked too many guests for the event and I can't physically put them all on screen at the same time because the technology doesn't allow it. So I've got to break them up into 2 bits, but hold off. And we'll get to everybody throughout the course of the next half hour, 40 minutes or so. If you've got questions for any of our authors tonight, you want to have a chat with them, you want to ask them anything about their 2020 or what they're happening, their plans are in 2021, drop them in comments, either if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching in the Ricochet Book Club. Get them in early and we'll get to them at some point between now and the end. On the way, I am going to be talking to Ghríofa and I'm going to be talking to Liz Nugent and I'm going to be talking to Donal Ryan. In a moment, I'll be talking to Colm. The reminder that I want to give you before we do any of this is a very brief one, and it's the one I've been doing all week for you, and it's this. The Christmas appeal continues. We started this about 3 weeks ago, a little bit more than 3 weeks ago. All of our funds are being split this year for the DSPCA, the Samaritans Ireland, and the Peter McVerry Trust. They're all going 3 ways. As I glance over my shoulder into another tab, it tells me we are at €22,583, which is pretty good. It's open until the 31st of December, as the little scroller on the bottom of the screen will tell you. If you fancied making some form of donation tonight, if you've enjoyed the festival this year or any of the shelf analyses, it would be immense. It would be fantastic and it would be hugely appreciated. If not, just don't worry about it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy what we're about to do for you for about the next 40 minutes or so. But again, this will scroll on the bottom of the screen for the whole event. The details, it's bit.ly/Ricochet Appeal. And you can make your donation there. And that's open till the 31st of December. Thank you very much. That's the hard sell over and we're done. Now, our first guest of the evening, I think, because I got a reminder of this in Facebook the other day, I'm almost 100% sure, was one of our guests at the very first ever physical Ricochet Book Club Christmas party in Dubray, which I think was 4 years ago. I hopefully press this button and say good evening and welcome. Colm, how are you?
Hello, how are you? That was smooth. I got it down. You pressed the button at the right time and it's pretty TV, Rick. Well done.
It's far from TV. It is me going meh and seeing if something works. Can I comment on your suit first of all? It's very impressive. Do you get a twirl or?
I will. Yeah. Okay. This is a Lidl Christmas blazer.
Awesome.
One of the few times in recent times I've actually been purposely in Lidl early on the day after the offer has been announced. It doesn't quite fit. It fits this guy.
Oh.
That's what it's supposed to look like. I do like the way he is kind of standing in, hey, I'm just off the boat, sailing boat. Maybe we'll go look at my etchings kind of look while wearing a blazer like that. I can't fill it out quite like that. I don't have the chest for it, but I'm proud to rep it. at this do anyway. And yes, I have been wearing it a number of things already, but I was really warming it up for this.
I can guarantee you that guy has never worn that blazer, and that guy doesn't shop in Lidl.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. He kind of looks like somebody as like me versus the man your mother warned you about. I'm not sure which is which. But anyway, I'm continuing on the lineage of blazer wearing.
Yeah, of course. Evening to Helena. Hello, Helena, who says, hi, Rick, and all the book clubbers from the Embassy Book Club in Brussels. They're the Irish Embassy in Brussels. I know they're watching tonight because we are an international event tonight for the very first time as well. Tell me, before I get on to you and before the reading you're going to do for me tonight, tell me, is Christmas something that you look forward to? Is Christmas something that you put up with? Is Christmas this year going to be changed from years past? Obviously, it'll be physically changed, but for you in your own head.
So first of all, I never dread it. Some years, particularly with small children, I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, so it's impossible to be immune to it anyway. But I do look forward to it. I have, there are different phases. I always found I still get that Christmas holiday feeling, like, there is a day in the lead up to Christmas where no matter what stage of your life, you feel like you're bringing your toys to school. There's one of those days. There will always be at least one day before Christmas for me where it's like the Lord of Misrule. There are no classes. The children are in charge, and you're playing with your dinkies on the teacher's desk. And so I can get one of those kind of days. I don't need much time to experience a familiar feeling. So I'm thinking next Monday or Tuesday I'll get that playing with the dinkies in 3rd class kind of feeling, headmaster giving away sweets, that kind of thing. So that's always special. I always found Christmas Day to be it's good, but it's the least fun of them. Like I always found a Christmas Day when Airtel would go on holidays. I always found that really depressing. When you turn on Airtel and Airtel wasn't working either. And it's like, but I want to know what's happening in Blacks and Stockbrokers. Or I want to know what the transfer season is doing. So I also found, and the lack of ads. There's something about Christmas Day itself that while some people like its installation from normal life, I find that sort of disturbing. Whereas I love the lead up to Christmas, and I like the final few bits shop. Whatever, at any stage of my life, going to Wilton Shopping Centre in Cork for like the last few bits. And for anybody of a certain vintage, going to a shopping centre in the 80s was like going to a spaceship. It's like, what? Shops? You can go from one shop to the next indoors? What sorcery is this? Whereas now, obviously, we have all these glass atria and cathedrals to capitalism. But back then, Wilton with a giant W outside of, for any Cork viewers will remember, it was like, if anybody's ever seen It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, like there's a giant W at Wilton, and you never, it's just, so I do like it. I like it because it's also full of procrastination. Like the amount of stuff you leave until that you think you're going to do from December 26th to December the 31st. Like you'll have your 3,000 page opus written during that time. You'll catch up with everyone. You'll sort the photos on your laptop, all that immense time.
You'll watch 12 films. Yeah.
You'll watch all of Louis Buñuel's classics. I don't know. But the golden time is where you think that's what's going to happen. So it's from now on, feck it, I leave it till the bit after Christmas. And now it's only since having children that I've finally come to realize how bullshit that was, and that there is no time anymore for anything. But there was still a time where you struggle. The amount of people I'm going to see, I'd say I'm going to start my own book club with the immense amount of time. So I have, I'm positive about Christmas. I'm just hoovering up any last bit of work. I am literally like,
I know.
It's been lumpy. It's been a lumpy year, as the markets would say, in terms of work. So
and I know that's why you said yes to me. Don't worry, I'm fully aware of that. You're hoovering up the last bit of work. I get it. I don't really want to ask anybody about 2020. I will, in that it doesn't really fit with the tinsel around your neck wearing the Christmas jumper kind of vibe. But obviously for you in your other job, as well as you write, but as well as being a writer, the other one where you stand up in front of rooms full of people, that job has just disappeared this year. It's not there anymore.
Well, I hate to use this word, but we did kind of pivot a little bit to the online. So what happened was I got all my bad news, and one day, March the 12th, we were in Centre Parks, and it's really weird being away from home when it feels like you're living through history. I was kind of like, will the roads still be there when we drive back? It's that kind of, it's like the start of every film where people are caught miles away from a cataclysm. So we were in Centre Parks and came back to the room on the lodge, and there was a message on the telly saying, "Let you stay out of the pool, yous bastards." Like, there was like, don't, no, obviously not literally, but the pool is closed. Go home tomorrow. And that was quite stark. And that day, Leo had given the speech. And then I straight away knew, right, that's it. We'll assume every bit of work is gone. What do we do next? So I tend, as a catastrophist anyway, to hedge against completely. Every year I start with an empty calendar, go, is this the year Brexit will finally show me up? So I have a certain robustness when it comes to expecting financial hardship. And, it was a year where you strip back and tried new things. And I can't honestly say, I've been very lucky. The children and us have got to know each other very, very well. The two siblings have spent so much time with each other, and we're healthy. And honestly, without sounding twee, I have nothing to complain about. So here endeth the moan, to be honest.
Okay, I got to go. One thing for you. Hello to Catherine, who says, haha, the excitement of Wilton as a child. They had a toy section in Roach's stores. I'm sure they did.
Not a grudging, here's your toys. Like, hey, children, you are welcome here. Like that, it's this stuff only new. Like consumerism and the consumer being happy in a shop is relatively new.
Yeah, who knew? You're going to read a little something for us that I stumbled on last week, and it's in the Christmas RTE guide, the big bumper Christmas RTE guide, which is obligatory to have in every household in Ireland, obviously. So before people get a chance to read for it, you're going to do a little bit from that. Maybe tell us.
As the young people say, life achievement unlocked. I am in the RTE Christmas bumper edition, the 2 weeks of telly. I mean, who could forget the magic of it? Because Christmas Day would be in colour. And it was often the only time, because we didn't have a colour telly until 1987. So it was the only time we'd seen lots of people in colour. It was like, oh, is that what Gay Byrne's hair looks like? It's that kind of, so it is amazing. I should say, I won't read from my book that I brought out this year. I will read.
Of course.
Yes.
You should point to that book immediately. That book right there. Yeah.
It's Christmassy. So this is, it's called No Zoom at the Inn. And, well, that was written in the middle of November, so I was hedging as to what level of lockdown we will be. So Mass is online in this, but see what you think anyway. Some things have been predicted correctly. So it's called No Zoom at the Inn, and it's narrated by Anne Devine, who is the hero of my novels, the eponymous Anne Devine novels, but second out this year in the pandemic. Sure, what harm? So No Zoom at the Inn. The altar is still empty when me and Mam get onto the laptop. There are 22 of us watching the Mass according to Facebook. That's actually not a bad turnout compared to what would usually be there in real life. Father Donegan comes out and switches on some music on his phone. He starts speaking. "We can't hear you," writes Sherry Guttenberg. She's not local. I click on her Facebook page. She's in Bridgeport, Connecticut. We have one mutual friend, the Joe Dolan fan club. Father Dolan must have noticed that Sherry Guttenberg is commenting, because he goes up to the camera adjusting something. "Sorry about that," he says. He likes Sherry's comment on his phone, then gives the opening blessing. Can you imagine a Mass like it? This Mass is offered for the repose of the soul of Charlie Hoare. Mam seems satisfied that Daddy got his mention. Let them know we were watching, Anne, so that it doesn't look like we're ungrateful. "Snacks fro remembering de Daddy," I say, making a hames of the typing. Sherry Guttenberg likes this. In fact, she hearts it. "Who is that one?" demands my mother. Turning up to Charlie's anniversary, I'd wring his neck if he was still alive. "Ma'am, I think she's only been friendly," I tell her. Ma'am's not used to the online version of life at all. After the Lamb of God, she's nearly out of her chair for the communion. Awful strange, this whole thing, Anne. You'll never see me up on one of those screens. Father Donegan is doing the notices. We will be looking forward to the Christmas ceremonies this year, arrangements to be announced, but there will be ceremonies in person, and I'm looking forward to not being reviewed by every Tom, Dick and Harry in the country. Let's get to the next page here. After the Masses went online, a load of lachicos are going to them and leaving reviews. Father Joe got a load of 1 stars on ratemypreacher.ie from lads he knew well were nowhere near the Mass. Also a reminder today that Kilsudgeon National School Nativity Play will be done on Zoom in an hour's time. As if we didn't know, the whole family is up to high dough about it. My granddaughter Alva is after getting the part as the narrator. There wasn't a hope of getting Mary. The DCs have that sewn up. The father runs the NCT centre, So if Miss Nolan wants her Yaris through the test, you can be sure Amelia Deasy will get Mary. Father Donegan finishes up and goes to the phone and to put on a hymn, but he must have pressed the wrong button because Come Out Ye Black and Tans blares out instead. You'll have to stay inside for a while yet, says Mam. Ara shite, there's a roar from the other room in my house. Dennis is hammering away in the sitting room. I go into him, he's holding his thumb. I don't know, am I cut out to be a set designer, Anne? Dennis is building a backdrop for Alva and a bit of a curtain for her to come out behind for the Zoom. The doorbell goes. My daughter Deirdre is there with Alva, her daughter. The excitement on Alva's little face. She's carrying a big book with a label stuck to it called The Story of Jesus. Mam's face lights up when she sees it. At least you're getting some bit of religion in that school. You see, Mam is convinced the whole school has gone pagan after she saw one of the teachers on Take Me Out years ago. There's no sign of Rory, my youngest son. He hasn't emerged from his room yet. Alva is all excited as she gets into her sheet for the costume. Deirdre is fussing as she puts clothes pegs around it. Are you sure now the internet will work, Mammy? Do you promise me? Her own reception is Cat, which is why she's here. What's that, Daddy? She's pointing at Dennis's wooden frame. Your backdrop for Julia Roberts here. Daddy, I meant a virtual backdrop. And Deirdre goes to the computer and fiddles with something, and there's a desert and palm trees and a big star. Sorry, Daddy, were you at that long? Daddy looks at me, or Dennis looks at me, his sore thumb, and says nothing. Miss Nolan will let you in shortly, says the Zoom. The little wheel is spinning. Then the screen comes on and we get a selection of children dressed as animals and very tense parents. Alva gets carried away. She starts reading. Hang on, love, says Deirdre. It's only 10 to. More screens start to pop up. I'm snooping in around the houses. I love this bit. Amelia Deasy is there, front and centre. The wall behind her looks miles away from the computer, like a celeb. The screen goes blank. Deirdre gives a shriek. No, 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 ma'am, what happened to your internet? I look at the internet box. It's flickering away in the corner. Can I still be narrator, Mammy? Alva's mouth wobbles. Her mother barks at me. Ma'am, get Miss Nolan's phone, number on my phone there. No stir on the Zoom. Deirdre is on the phone to Miss Nolan. I know, Miss Nolan. Yes, I understand. Just give us 5 minutes. She looks at me after she hangs up. This shagging internet in this useless hole of a village, she says. Deirdre always did like the big statement. We'll have to go to Johnny's pub, ma'am. It'll be quiet this time of the morning. You see, after the pubs closed, Johnny Moran got a grant to turn his pub into an entrepreneurship hub. He got a back room kitted out with the finest of internet and everyone socially distanced in little booths. I don't know who the entrepreneurs are, but it's very busy by all accounts. When we get there, we find out who the entrepreneurs are. Inside in the back room, sitting in front of blank screens in their little booths, wearing masks on their necks, are Johnny's most regular and loyal customers, supping away pints to bait the band. Johnny, I need a booth for the internet. Alva has her nativity play in 2 minutes, says Deirdre. But there's no room at the inn. All the workstations are being used, Deirdre. How are they being used, Johnny? All I see is a lot of our lads breaking level 3. I can't move them, Deirdre. It's totally legal. We've a shed outside. Is that any good? My Alva will not narrate from a shed. Ma'am, we'll do it on the phone. Drive up to Dooney's Turn there. Dooney's Turn is where there's good internet in Kilsudgeon. She orders us all out again and says to Johnny, do the guards know all your entrepreneurs are lashing into the pints? Now we're driving up to Dooney's Turn, the only place around here that has any kind of G at all, never mind 5G. Deirdre is cursing into the Zoom. I'm speeding. Miss Nolan is telling her, I'm sorry, Deirdre, we'll have to start. Alva is philosophical at this stage now. No, it's grand, Mammy. I'll just be a cow because they're not there at the start of the show. You will not be a cow. And then I pull into the turn. We hear her over the phone. Hello, this is the narrator's assistant and her great-grandmother, Margaret. She will be with you shortly. She asked me to say a few words at the start. It's my mam. What is she doing? The picture comes up on Deirdre's phone and I see that Rory is helping her. And it was Rory the cause of it as well too, probably playing Fortnite. But he's helping Mam with her earphones. Hello, I am Margaret and you are very welcome to the nativity play for Kilsudgeon. Rory rings me on the phone. Ma'am, get back here now. I don't know how long Nana can stall them for. Nana doesn't seem to be worried. A long, long time ago in Bethlehem, so the Holy Bible say. Is Nana doing Boney M? Whispers Deirdre. Mam seems to remember where she is and stops. Your narrator is coming along now soon from Bethlehem to tell the most wonderful news. I know we are all feeling the effects of being apart, so Alva asked me to start this off to remind us of all the people in our lives we're not able to talk to. They're loving this in the chat, says Deirdre. What a lovely idea to have Great Granny introduce you, says one parent. Brilliant, it's like Princess Bride, says another. After more speeding from me, we get back to the house. Alva is running to the sitting room holding her book, flustered. Here she is now, says my mam, into the computer and out of Deirdre's phone 2 seconds later. Alva goes over, wraps her arms around her nana. Don't worry, says says her nana. She jokes. We're all in the one bubble. She's Des O'Connor now with the repartee. A few hours later, I'm talking to her in the kitchen. You're a dab hand at the online entertaining, ma'am, I tell her, after Alva's triumphant performance. You'll manage another lockdown. Get me one of them vaccines first thing you can, Anne, she says. That took years off me. The end.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
So that's, I don't have any nativity. None of my books were set at Christmas time, so I thought, it's great to get to write stuff for the RT Guide. I'm all chuffed.
And if people wanted to read more in the same universe, Colm, what book would they go and pick up? Just remind us.
No, it's not like I have them next to me or whatever, but these are the two. This is Anne Devine. She is the chairperson of the local Tidy Towns, and so is Ready for Her Close-Up and Handle with Care is the second one. So it's the story of a woman who is a carer, looks after old people, and is also a heroine, particularly in this one because she gets involved. She gets mixed. The yellow vests infiltrate the high vis of the Tidy Towns. So there's far right and Jordan Peterson wannabes and the whole lot in this year's one. So it might have gone under the radar during the summer after being released in the middle of a fucking pandemic. So get out there and buy it, one of you anyway. So that's where the novels are at. But I kind of like the character. I enjoyed spending time with her again in the RT Guide.
And I think that's it. Can you hear me? Can I hear you? I think
I can hear you.
You still hear me? I'm still here. No, I'm still here. There you go. We're good.
Yeah.
My connection is going, your connection is going, and that's probably because we both live in the same part of the world and we're probably using the same broadband at this stage.
Yeah, I actually thought I'd frozen and I realized I wasn't moving my head. It's the new normal. Like I was just going, am I frozen? And then I went, oh wait, if I move my head, then I'll know. Okay.
Listen, Colm, thanks a million. It's been brilliant having you. Have a lovely Christmas. Cheers, and thanks for being part of the show tonight. Cheers, man.
Enjoy the rest of the night, folks. Thank you.
Good luck. Bye. And that is a true story in that Colm and I live in the same part of Dublin. We are probably literally using the same one thread of broadband wherever we are. Loads of questions coming in. Thank you very much for your questions. Tons of comments coming in. We'll get to you as many of you as we can. Let's crack part of our show. Let me first of all there's about 6 buttons I need to press here, and as we've discussed before, I'm not great at the L buttons, so stick with me. I'm going to press this one, I'm going to press this one, and then I'm going to press the one at the end, and I'm going to say hello, and I'm going to say hello, hopefully, and then I'm going to press the button at the end and say hello, hello, and hello to Doireann Ghríofa and to Liz Nugent and to Donal Ryan as well.
Hey.
Hello. Happy Christmas. Hi.
Hey guys.
Hi, Donal.
Let's get started. Before we do anything else here now, first of all, lovely hat, Doireann, fair play, well done.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can definitely hear you 100% this time. We had problems earlier. This is good. No, we're all good. And Liz, are you at risk of being electrocuted at any point?
I have my devilish horns on to my Santa hat horns on to ward off any kind of evil electricity things. So I'm fine.
Yeah, it'd be great.
And Tiger battery operated Christmas lights.
Oh, you'll be fine then. And possibly the only time I'm ever going to ask this, Donal Ryan, would you mind standing up and showing us what you're wearing, please?
Sure. It just says, Merry whatever.
No, I want one of those. Where'd you get that? That's great.
I was trying to stop before my shorts came on view.
Well, that's not the first time it's happened on one with me. Welcome to all of you. I do have questions. Loads of people want to talk to you. You're all going to read a little something from 2020 as well. Weirdly, and I did not plan this, we are currently, if you're a member of the Ricochet Book Club, running the poll for the top Irish book of 2020. And you guys are currently numbers 2, 3, and 4. I could not have made this better. Now, sadly, Maggie O'Farrell is going to beat all of you. Genuine apologies. But look, you're 2, 3, and 4, which is great.
That's wonderful.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's heartbreaking. I'm going to start by, where am I going to go? Do you know what I'm going to do? Is I've done this before on all of these, so hang on that way. Doireann, because you're top left, how are you? How is the prep going for Christmas? Do you like Christmas? Are you getting ready for it? Is this something I'm going to ask Donal later on about burying his head, but tell me about you. What are you up to?
It's a busy time for someone in my situation. I have a lot of people to be minding at this time of year and to be thinking about But I want to draw your attention to my friend over here who was handmade, and I like the kind of weird, sinister aspect that he's got going on there. I was tempted to kind of put him up instead of me at the start. But
He does have a vacant stare. Yeah, it's kind of scary. Yeah.
Look at we're getting on brand. We're getting all our bits and pieces will be sorted on the day. I think like a lot of people, it's kind of tricky to think about the day itself and how different it's going to be from our usual Christmases. So we won't be seeing a lot of the people that we would usually see. And I mean, that is kind of sad, isn't it? But through the whole pandemic, really, I keep thinking, okay, yeah, all this is really hard. But then at the same time, we are all in it together. Like, I mean, so often when you're going through something really hard in your life, one of the hardest parts about it is that you feel alone. And at least with the pandemic, you have the sense that everyone is going through a tough time, and we've all kind of been rallying, is my sense, a little bit, and being kinder to each other, being a bit gentler with each other, and I don't know about you, but like I've drawn great comfort from that. So it'll be a weird Christmas, but we'll make the best of it.
Right. Tell me, Donal, about Christmas, about you, and about how the preparation's going, and what it's like in your house.
Oh, I just sit back and let it all happen. I don't do anything. I'm totally lazy about it. So I feel really guilty about it, to be honest. But Anne-Marie she loves Christmas, and she loves, organizing things for Christmas. So that's, for me, it's great. But I'm really bad. I'm a really lazy and bad and thoughtless present buyer. I kind of leave it to the last minute and tend to give lots of cash presents. Not much cash now, in fairness, but I'm really bad at it. I'm not quite a Grinch, but I'm not a huge Christmas person.
And has that changed this year? And I'll tell you why, because I've asked lots of people who, look, I'm not normally one who puts up decorations at all. I stuck up lights around the tree in the front garden because I felt the need to do something that had some sort of, I don't know, public symbolism of something. Has that changed this year for you at all?
Actually, there's in our estate, there's a lot of one-upmanship going on with people, and so lots of houses are completely lit up, and it's great. It's great because I'm so lazy about it. We've got one small wreath in the front door and a lovely tree now, in fairness, but people got reindeers in their roofs and fake snow coming down along the front of the house, and gorgeous. And I kind of feel bad about the whole thing, but that's the beauty of living in a state. You benefit from everybody else's good works.
Yeah, and you've had a busy year, and you can see it when you look out your window as well, which is great. Liz, you tell us about how the preparation is going, and what it's like for you.
Well, normally I would be a Grinch, a complete Grinch. I would never have put up really decorations or anything like that. But this year has been so grim and so long, and I just kind of thought, but
it's the internet. You can say whatever you want, Liz. It's fine.
But I did say feck instead of the other word. But I sort of embraced it a bit more. So we put up lights around the house and stuff. But we don't have anything in the front. And if I put a wreath on the front door, it would be nicked. It doesn't look great from the outside. And we haven't got a tree. Well, we've got lights. We've got little tiger lights all over the place.
You're wearing them, which shows there is a spirit involved there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to ask each of you to read a little something. We do have questions that people want to ask you guys, which is great. And I am going to ask you a little bit about the year, because you've all had pretty fantastic years in terms of your writing and your work. Doireann, maybe start with you. What are you going to read for us tonight?
Oh yeah, I'm going to read a little bit from A Ghost in the Throat from fairly early on in it. But before I do that, I wanted to do what I always bombard you with, Rick, which is like, surprise, it's a poem and you can't get away from it. But this one is one that I actually drew great comfort from, I suppose, in the year that we've had, and it's only 3 lines long. I suppose, like, I've been thinking so much about absence and how painful a thing it can be when you're far from people that you love and from places that you love. So yeah, this poem has been lingering with me a lot, and I wanted to share it in case it's of comfort to anyone else. It's by a poet called W.S. Merwin, and it was published a few decades ago. But you could, if I told you it had been written last week, you'd believe it. It just feels so relevant at the moment. It's called Separation. Your absence has gone through me like thread through a needle. Everything I do is stitched with its color. And I think part of the reason that poem, like, I get goosebumps every time I read it now, and I think part of the reason behind that is because of that sense of absence and the pain of it, the sense of the needle and the thread, but also the weird kind of vividness that comes from feeling far from people and feeling that absence from people. That, like, I know it sounds corny, and it is kind of a cliche, but you appreciate those people and places all the more, I think, when you do get to go back to them again. So I'm going to read just a tiny section from A Ghost in the Throat, which is really kind of a real shambolic adventure story of how I tried to find out as much as I could about a poet who lived centuries before me called Eileen Duffy Connell. And the piece I'm going to read is about the very beginning of that adventure, when I was just starting to find out about her and the methods that I was forced to use because of my personal situation. Look. It is a Tuesday morning, and a security guard in a creased blue uniform is unlocking a door and standing aside with a light-hearted bow, because look now, here I come, with my hair scraped into a rough bun, a milk-stained blouse, a baby in a sling, a toddler in a buggy, a nappy bag spewing books, and what could only be described as a dangerous light in my eyes. I know that I have a 6-minute window at best before the screeching begins. So I'm unclipping the buggy faster now, and urging the toddler upstairs. No stopping. I peek into the sling where tiny eyelids swipe in sleep, then plonk the toddler by my feet and, eyes darting around in search of the librarian who once chastised me, I shove a forbidden banana into his fist. Please, I whisper. Please, just sit still while Mammy just... I tug a wrinkled list from the nappy bag, my fingertips racing the spines. The sling squirms and the baby rips an extravagant blast into his nappy. I smile. How could I not? And yank the last 2 books from the shelf. I am grinning as I kiss the toddler's hair, grinning as I hoist my cargo sideways, step by slow step down the stairs, with one gooey banana hand in mine, and a very familiar smell rising from the sling. So that's the story of how I started trying to find books about Eileen Duffy Connell, and that's kind of where the book takes us. And funny enough, you won't believe this wasn't planned, but the library in which that scene occurred in real life is directly next door to the supermarket that Colm was talking about a minute ago in Wilton in Cork City.
Right,
it's a Christmas miracle.
This could be the beginning of a strange thread running through everything. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But I got just a message for you here as well, which is from Helena Nolan. She is the Irish ambassador to Belgium. She said, will you let Doireann know we are reading A Ghost in the Throat in our Embassy Book Club in February as part of our St. Bridget's Day events celebrating the creativity of women. I have passed that on to you. Where am I going to go with? I'm going to go with somebody had said, sorry, there's a couple of comments I want to throw in here as well. I'm going to go slightly further down. Well done. No, hang on. It's the one I wanted slightly further down. There it is. KJ McDonald says, fair play to the ladies with their Christmas attire and merry whatever to you, Donal. Donal, tell me a bit about, you've had one of those years as well in 2020, in that obviously you've both had a novel out. The novel has done extraordinarily well. It has been award-winning. Tell me about the year, though, for you in general, and tell us then what you're going to read for us.
Well, it's been fine. I mean, I can't complain. We've had a few traumas in the family through the year, but I mean, you know, I can't say it's been worse than has been for anybody else. But you know, it's just so strange. It's just so weird, you know, to be so constricted and to have our movements so limited, and to have our freedoms just evanesced so completely. And please God, next year it'll just get back to normal. And I mean normal, you know, proper normal, where we can just do what we want again. But I can't see it. But look, you know, I think as Doireann said, we're all in it together, you know, and we have to pull together and we have to just make the most of it. And on my readings, actually, I started to search today through the poetry I have in my room here to find a Christmassy poem that was kind of happy and uplifting, and I couldn't find one. And then I thought, okay, I wrote a novel called The Thing About December. There's surely something in there about Christmas, and there actually isn't very much. There's one paragraph that mentions Christmas in this book. So, but I found a very short poem by Bernard O'Donoghue that's called Christmas, and there's a lovely seasonal poem by Mary O'Malley I'll read. It's quite short, which is a tribute to Emma Cos, but it feels very Christmassy. So I'll start with Bernard because it's lovely and short, and it's actually called Christmas. So, Christmas by Bernard O'Donoghue. Despite the forecast's promise, it didn't snow that night. But in the morning, flakes began to glide all right. Not enough to cover roads or even hide the grass, but enough to change the light. And this beautiful poem by Mary O'Malley is called Peace Walk. In Israel, in the town of X, a man walks each morning to the end of his street, where the desert begins. It is how he wakes, standing just before sunrise, the air cold and sweet. He does this to feel the dark and gather his calm for the talk he must have with his neighbor, a retired colonel who sees the next Holocaust slam in from every direction and for the day's labor. He also walks after sunset and stops outside to listen to a nocturne played well by a young girl. He mentions that instead of peace and the old man's pride softens him. His daughter's daughter, so musical. Reading this, the good habit of taking peace where we find it, knowing it will be scorched by noon, and holding it inside our dark cistern makes more sense than roadmaps. Walk on, Amos Oz. So thanks to Mary O'Malley for that beautiful tribute to a man of peace. And this is my very small mention of Christmas in The Thing About December, which is actually in the chapter entitled November. After Halloween, the next big push was Christmas. Oh yeah, this is, you know, from in the voice of John Z. Conliffe, the narrator who, well, not the narrator, the main character who I describe actually quite unkindly as a bit of a God help us. You know, he's just a man who's very innocent, who's got a beautiful take on the world. November would drag, and you had to try not to think about Christmas, or you'd go mad waiting for time to pass. Wasn't Santy a great man all the same? He'd be flat out in November, so he would, making presents. They put up the decorations inside in town earlier and earlier every year. That's to try and drive people into buying stuff, Mother used to say. Imagine, All Souls just passed, and feckin' owls their decorations up around the place. They should be banned from mentioning Christmas until halfway through December. Some people offered up a sacrifice for the faithful departed in November. Mother would say, that was only our shaking. Them that went around spouting about giving up drink for the month were the same ones that would fill their old faces and drink themselves stupid non-stop all December, letting on to be holy. All they were doing was sparing up the money they'd pissed away at Christmas. I'm sorry, it sounds so negative by Christmas, actually.
This is, look, and the visuals are just offsetting the part of it. What I love is, thank you, Donal, that's brilliant. And again, the book is Strange Flowers. It won the Novel of the Year at the Unpublished Irish Book Awards this year, and is a fine, extraordinary piece of work. There's so much love coming in for Doireann for A Ghost in the Throat. Liz has actually said in comments here, she said, I'm giving up copying in the comments about them because there's just so much of it, and there's tons of that. Kat Hogan, though, hello Kat, how are you? Says, my 7-year-old has just come up from his bed. He is now mesmerized as he thought Liz Nugent was an actual elf. Oh.
Nothing could be further from the truth.
Liz is an elf. Tell us, Liz, about because again, it's been a much longer period of time, I suppose, since our Little Cruelties came out earlier in the year. Although it's coming out in America just in and around now, is that right? Because you gave me a gorgeous American copy of the book the other day, which looks super. Tell us a little bit about your year and about writing and about how that's all treated you.
Oh gosh, my year's been very depressing in lots of ways, so I'm not going to go on about that. But I just count myself lucky that, for example, I was able to be there to say goodbye to my dad, because a lot of people don't get that opportunity. And I count myself lucky that I have a house with the gardens that I was able to get out in the summertime. And I count myself lucky that I have a husband who is incredibly attentive and supportive. And I am surrounded by good people and great friends. And these two have provided me with terrific novels to get me through. And, it's not been too bad. It could have been a lot worse. Nobody that I know personally has got COVID or died of it. So, could be worse.
We should point out as well that your husband is also very good looking and suave and is a gentleman. And how you hope you're watching, Rick. How's it going? Is all well? But
phone downstairs.
He's playing with his phone downstairs. He's probably watching this though, because this is the best thing that's going to be on his phone tonight. Probably not. No, fair enough. I should, just before you do your reading, point out to people as well that the other day, yourself and Catherine Ryan Howard came into a studio in RTE, and you were my second and third physical guests in a studio on the book show in 2020. Everybody we've talked to on the book show, we've talked to using technology or Skype or tie lines or phones or all of that kind of stuff. I sat in front of the two of you the other day, and we just had the most fun, and it was just glorious to have a face-to-face conversation for a radio show with two people. It was amazing.
Thank you. It was great.
If people want to get a chance to have a listen to it, it's 5 o'clock Christmas Day on RTE Radio 1, and I think you guys are kicking the whole thing off, but I'll tell people a bit more about that on social. Tell me what you are going to read for us tonight, please.
I'm going to read a piece I wrote in 2004 for Sunday Messiah.
We've lost Liz. She's pressed a button. Well, no, at the moment she was about to start to... Do you know what? This is the moment, lads, where the two of us need to continue to fill in while Liz presses a button and comes back. I'm going to throw up a couple of things that have come in on comments just for you guys. T. Byrne just says, I could listen to Donal all evening. That might work well. Donal, just throwing that out to you. Trina Marin O'Grady says, A Ghost in the Throat is the most beautifully lyrical book. It's such a rich treat to read. Emily Reynolds wanted to ask, Doireann, did you have any idea when you finished writing A Ghost in the Throat what a unique book you had created?
I always, like, my husband always gives out to me because he says I should get better at being like, yeah, I'm great. Yeah. And agreeing, like, my inclination is to say, like, I'm so glad that readers have responded so strongly with it. But like, there are so many brilliant books of people writing from their lives that came out this year, like Notes from an Apocalypse. There, I don't know if you can see that. And Patrick Freen's Okay, Let's Do Your Stupid Idea.
And Liz as well. Again, fair play, Liz. You're back. Hang on. We started asking questions while you were gone. It's grand. Don't worry. We
so that's, I don't know. That's the answer I would give, is that there's so many brilliant books out there, and I'm really glad that people have responded so strongly to mine. But that there's been, I don't know, for me as a reader, there's been so many spectacular books that I've enjoyed this year. So yeah, Liz, you're back! Hooray!
Yeah. Liz, you're back. Let's try not touch anything. I'm hoping that wasn't me that cut you off. I'm fairly sure it wasn't, but I'm not 100% sure. Tell us again, what are you going to read first?
I'm going to read something I wrote in 2004, considering my first novel wasn't published until 2014. That's how long it took me from writing a short piece in Sunday Messiah to actually get my act together to write a book. So if you're thinking of writing a book, just know that it can't be rushed. It takes time. So I'm just going to read, this is an embarrassingly true story, but the joke's on me. Okay. I was 11 years old the year I decided that I needed a bike. A bike would transform my humdrum, housebound life to one of freedom and spectacular exploration. I had saved a whopping £40, and each day I would comb the small ads in the Evening Herald pricing second-hand bikes. In early December, Mum offered a solution to my dilemma. If I gave her my £40, she would give it to Santa Claus, and Santa would get me a brand new chopper for Christmas. On Christmas morning, I awoke bright and early and ready for my bike. Before I could get downstairs, though, Mum carefully explained that Santa Claus had been very extravagant and generous to me last year, and this year he had had a few budgetary problems. He had indeed got me a bicycle, but he had issued strict instructions that it was to be shared with my little brother. My brother, I should explain, was 7 years old, the youngest in the family, adorable, cute as a button, and the apple of everyone's eye. I, on the other hand, was a gangly, snarling, jealous pre-teen. The bike itself was somewhat of a disappointment. It was the yellow pack version of a chopper, inventively named the Chipper. To add insult to injury, my brother was given first go of the new bike around the garden. I recall that I tried to kick him off when nobody was looking. The new year began, and so did the battle of the new bike. I counted the minutes that he spent at the bicycle, then doubled the number and claimed that my go should be as long. I would hide it in a hedge when I brought it home and refused to reveal its location. I levered the seat up to make it hard for him to climb aboard. I would even put jam on the handlebars when it was his turn to use it. I truly resented every second he spent on my bicycle and seethed and sulked whenever he took possession. He didn't even tell on me. About 3 weeks later, I finally got permission to take the bike outside of our usual circuit, which only included our garden, the road we lived on, and the small housing estate behind us. Special dispensation was granted to me because I wanted to cycle to Mass, perhaps a mile away. Off I went on my expedition, delighted with myself. I even successfully tried a few wheelies and managed to cycle within the 3-inch width of the curbstone for at least 20 yards. Look at me, how clever and skillful I am. Maybe a talent spotter from Funderland will drive by and see my daring antics and offer me a contract with the Wall of Death, I thought. Inside the church, I piously and innocently prayed for a miracle, the disappearance of my brother, which would surely result in sole ownership of the bike. I dropped 10 pence into the collection box, twice the usual fee. But such miracles demanded a sacrifice, and damn it, I was prepared to make it. As a restless 11-year-old, the boring bit after communion was insufferable, and I was itching to get away, to feel the wind in my hair and show off my stunt riding to the congregation as they poured out into the churchyard. No sooner had the priest uttered the last amen than I was down the aisle and out the door into the church porch where I had stashed my beloved dream machine. It wasn't there, nor was it anywhere else. Gone. Stolen. Game over. For years afterwards, I wondered what kind of grotesque monster could steal a child's bicycle from inside a church. At the very least, it had to be a mortal sin. It is only now, as an adult, that the thought has struck me, and maybe it's just Catholic guilt, that in order to teach me a lesson, God stole my bike.
Fantastic. I don't know if I heard you read that before. That's absolutely wonderful. I've got a couple of comments that are coming in. Hello to Zoe Miller. Hi, Zoe. She says, I have all 3 2020 books from Liz, Donal, and Doireann on my winter to be read pile. I'm going to dive in during the Christmas break. The only problem is, which one will I read first? Don't ask an awkward question like that. That's horrific. Jennifer says, I've just ordered Strange Flowers there now. Pressy for me. Rebecca says, just finished Strange Flowers. My only consolation is that it is over now, and my next one is A Ghost in the Throat. That's a great double treat to end 2020. And Suzanne just says, I love the photo of Donal posing with the Irish Book Award in his attic. It was brilliant and made me giggle. That's one of my favorite things I've seen this year as well, which says a lot about my year. It was an extraordinary photo. If people haven't seen it, go look it up. You'll find it. I'll find it and I'll tweet it for you tomorrow. Before we finish, a couple of questions from people who've been asking them earlier on. Emer had a great question earlier. She says, Rick, would you mind asking each of the guests what they've missed most during 2020 apart from normality, and what they're most looking forward to in 2021? Again, I'll start because we're in that box with Doireann.
What I missed most in 2020, I will answer honestly, but it's a boring answer that I'm sure everyone feels the same way. My parents, my God, and both of my sisters, who have both had really challenging years as well. And it breaks my heart that we haven't all been in the same room, But look, I mean, everyone is going through hard times at the moment, and I'm very lucky to have them all. And I always think of people, like older people, my parents' generation used to always say to me when my friends say we're emigrating, Skype is great. And I feel like that now, I ring my parents and I communicate with my sisters all the time through WhatsApp, and I feel like we're very lucky, very, very lucky to have that. So I kind of tend to hold on to that. What was September 2021. Oh, I hope things settle down and we all get to spend more time with people that, just with people that we love. And in terms of books in 2021, Megan Nolan's novel, I am itching to read that, Acts of Desperation. I cannot wait for that. Absolutely. And Emer Ryan has a book coming out with Penguin Ireland. Are they called Penguin? Can one of you two there?
Sandy Cove these days.
Sandy Cove. Sorry, you see, I shouldn't have drank the glass of wine first. It was nearly there. Emer Ryan's book, yeah. I can't wait for that as well. And there's going to be loads. Like, I mean, we could be here all night if we start talking about books that we're looking forward to. But yeah, we'll all hold together and we'll get through this and we'll be into next year and things will be fine.
Liz, same question. What have you missed most in 2020 and what are you looking forward to next year?
What I've missed most in 2020 is people. And what I am looking forward to most in 2021 is live book festivals and meeting readers and other writers. Like normally at this time of year, I would have met Donal 3 or 4 times on the circuit, doing various festivals. Doireann, no doubt. The last time I met Doireann was in the Irish Embassy in London for St. Bridget's Day last year. So, we would all have met, and Rick, we would have met several times, I'm sure. So I'm looking forward to the return of live book festivals and live events and talking to actual readers face to face, and all the new books coming out, and having parties, not parties necessarily, because I'm not a big party animal, but just get-togethers, seeing bunches of people at the same time, sharing meals with people in my home or in their homes or in restaurants, and going to the theatre. I really want to go to the theatre. I've missed that really badly. What else? Is that enough? I've probably gone on a bit.
That's enough. If that's what you're missing, that's an honest answer to the question. I'd agree with a lot of those too. Donal, same one for you?
Yeah, well, the same as Doireann and Liz actually, and also it's probably the first year in over 40 years where I haven't been to a hurling match, and I really miss going to matches because it's just a big part of my life, going to see Tipperary playing, and I really missed it. And thank God the championship got to finish this year, and congrats to Limerick, fair play. But it really is something that I've really, and it sounds really selfish and childish, but I just really want to go to a match, and just have the crack, and there's nothing like it, there's just nothing like the atmosphere of a county match, and the crack of it and the excitement, the tension of it, and just being kind of part of just a tiny part of this huge homogenous mass of passion and feverish excitement is just great. Also, actually on book festivals, a lot of them have gone online. It's been great, but normally at a book festival you kind of think, actually I can drink away now in a festival, but when it's online you're at home going, I'll drink away. It's a bit different, kind of worrying almost. So there's been that as well.
My only thought in all of that is that I'm with you guys in that I miss festivals so much. I was thinking about this the other day, and I never thought I would have said this maybe a year or 2 years ago. I miss talking to complete strangers. I miss talking to people I've never met before and I don't know. And the place that usually happens is at festivals or at events where somebody comes up and they talk to you, or better still, where you meet somebody who kind of maybe you know what they write, their work, you like them, you never met them before, and you end up having random conversations with complete strangers. I miss that very much. I miss the physicality of events as well, because they're lovely. This is great. It's been brilliant talking to all 3 of you tonight. But we're in our little boxes here in, the 4 corners of the country, and this would have been far better on a stage in front of, a couple of hundred people, and then we all would have gone to the pub afterwards, and this would have finished late, and we all would have had terrible hangovers the following morning, as opposed to now where this is going to finish late, and I'm still going to have a terrible hangover the following morning, but on my own, which is a bit sad, frankly. Questions, just one or two more comments and questions before we finish up. Sandra says, I feel like a child curled up on the sofa listening to wonderful bedtime stories, have a glass of Prosecco in my hands. Thanks to you all. Anne-Marie says, you're Anne-Marie Donal, says, great story, Liz. I loved it. I feel your pain with shared Christmas presents. Fiona says, please ask any of the guys if they're working on new books that we could look forward to reading in 2021. Now, I presume that given you've all had something this year, that's possibly a no, although I know, Doireann, you've got a collection of poetry coming out.
I do, but like I suppose I'm the type of writer that writes several different projects kind of at the same time. If I'm having trouble at one, I dip into another, so they kind of occur like in parallel. So I've been writing this one since 2014. It's called To Star the Dark, and that will be out in February.
Okay, Liz?
Not in 21, 22.
Exciting.
Sad. Donal?
Yeah, well, I just kind of finished a novel in the last few days, and I just feel such relief. But again, it's not out until 2022. But my colleague and dear friend Sarah Moore Fitzgerald has a book out next year called Pure Class. I just read the first 2 chapters recently. It's going to be brilliant. So look out for that.
Excellent.
Stuff. It has been a joy and a pleasure, and you know, I knew I'd have as much fun with the 3 of you as I thought I would. It's the weirdest thing in that when I started this festival, I had 10 slots to fill. I asked the 10 people I wanted, and everybody said yes, and that's why this has been just such enormous fun to do over the space of the last week. Thanks very much to all of you. Again, I'm going to be talking to a couple of you on Christmas Day on the book show on RTE Radio 1. There's a whole big hour's worth of books. If people are interested, you can catch it at 5 p.m. when you're doing the washing up on RTE Radio 1 on Christmas Day as well. But for now, Doireann Ghríofa, Liz Nugent, Donal Ryan. Thanks, my friends, and I'll see you again now.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Lovely to see you.
Thank you. So
Good luck.
See you guys.
And that's pretty much it. It's it for all of this, really. Back in March, I started doing shelf analysis as a distraction at the time for me from being in the middle of the beginning of everything and being in the same headspace everybody was in. And I knew that there would be no events happening pretty much in 2020. And I knew I wanted to talk to authors, so I did. And I got on with it. And as a result of which, it took on a life of its own. We've done 57 episodes, I think is right, of it, and the festival this week. So I'm taking a break for now. Shelf analysis will be back in 2021, probably in and around February. It will be an occasional series in which I talk to people that I really, really want to talk to. I don't think the exhaustion levels in my brain will allow me to go back to doing them once a week along with everything else as well. But it's been immense fun. And given that the last time I interviewed somebody in front of a room full of people was the last week in February, for me, that's the longest time I have gone without doing events like this. And like all of our authors here tonight, it's something that as the presenter you get a buzz from as well, and you have immense fun with and you enjoy. Thank you so much for coming along tonight. Keep up to date with everything. If you're not already a member of it, in the Ricochet Book Club, just look it up on Facebook, and that's where the conversations happen pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I will catch you on the book show on RTE Radio 1. Christmas Day at 5 p.m. and you can listen to all of the book shows throughout the course of the year, available wherever you find your podcasts. And I love the shelf analyses, all 57 of them, again, with individual events with all of our authors here tonight. They're all available on the Shelf Analysis YouTube channel. But other than that, it's been a joy, my friends. I hate saying goodbye, but I have to say goodbye because I need to take this off because it's very, very warm. Don't wear tinsel, kids. Have yourself a lovely Christmas, a wonderful New Year, and I'll talk to you next year. Good luck.